I tell you, it's good to get by the ocean and unwind. I needed that. You know, we're a year and a half into this so-called COVID-19 pandemic. The testing's flawed. People are getting the so-called vaccine and coming out with COVID-19, and in some cases dying with COVID-19. How's that possible? I don't know. You tell me. You know, working 22 years at bedside, ER, ICU, radiology, endoscopy, IV therapy, you name it, in case management. The key is not to have to go to the doctor. The key really is eating right and exercise. And I think this last year and a half has really just shown the underbelly or the dark side of our Rockefeller allopathic medical paradigm in which we reside. And it's driven a lot by the television. It's unfortunate that, I see patients in their homes. The first thing I have to do is turn the television on. Same in the hospital room. And it is kind of allegory of the cave, Plato's allegory of the cave. It's mind control. They don't call it programming for a reason. And it's sad because every other commercial is a pharmaceutical commercial. And they always got these gorgeous models that look great with their diabetes and maybe a tad bit overweight, eating cotton candy. But again, exercise and eating right, it's something that you need to do in your life. Food is medicine. You have to eat to live, not live to eat. And it's a fine balance. It's like work. You have to work to live or live to work. And you find that equilibrium or that homeostasis or that balance or that where life exists. I don't know. I've seen this vaccine roll out, hurt some people, possibly kill some people. And again, it's not a vaccine in a traditional sense. Even Dr. Robert Malone has spoken up about it. Bioethicists that are being laid off and fired, these mandates, these politicians and so-called civil servant bureaucrats practicing medicine, something that should be between the patient and his or her doctor. And you're always entitled to a second opinion. Second opinions are valuable. Can we not have a second opinion on Dr. Fauci? When did Dr. Fauci become like God? It's all a theoretical science. It's the practice of medicine. Put a little salve on it and see if the burn goes away. If it doesn't, well, move on to the next and see which one does work. And not every patient is going to be exactly like the other. So I'm just blown away. I'm amazing. I wish we could just turn the television off and get over it. Fascinatingly enough, the CDC was originally set up to battle malaria in the South. Being a Southerner, I often joke now that we have running water, indoor toilets, and air condition, here come all the Yankees. But the CDC battled malaria with hydroxychloroquine, and the British battled malaria in the tropics with quinine and tonic water. It's gin and tonic and a squeeze of lime. And it is what it is. This thing called medicine has evolved mostly from nature. But if the CDC were to come out and say that I need to smear peanut butter on my arms to prevent COVID-19, and there's as much science in that as there is mask actually stopping COVID-19, then I'm just wondering, will humanity smear peanut butter on their arms because the CDC recommends? I mean, the CDC really has become nothing more than a front for Big Pharma. It's quite evident to most, and it's sad. The problem with medicine, and I remind people this, that the first hospitals were brought to us in Western civilization by the church, not the corporations, not Big Pharma, not government officials, not bureaucracies, not health agencies, but the church. And the church has always tried to teach in truth. And as grounded as science is, there has to be truth in science, or at least a good plausibility with some statistical data. And yet, even on the CDC website, there's analysis, studies that go back to 1946 with regards to wearing masks to stop flu. And, there's just no evidence for it. If it's not stopping flu, it's certainly not stopping COVID-19 or whatever COVID-19 may or may not be. It's sinister. It was a coercion measure put out by HCA to get their vaccination rates up, so they were leaving $350,000 on the table. And when you sell your soul for money, it's just not good. And I've said this before, the church has always taught about 7 deadly sins. And sloth and gluttony are 2, but greed is a 3rd. And our entire allopathic Rockefeller medical paradigm basically is fed through slothfulness and gluttony. Because a good majority of what we see in the hospital are that, acute on chronic, of these problems at large. And then you factor in the greed, the new drug for this, the new drug for this, the new vaccine for that, yada, 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 the commercialism. And I've just lost a lot of respect for a lot of medical doctors. If my son goes off to medical school, I would prefer that he go to osteopath school and maybe do an ER residency and learn to treat acute, but teach how to stay out of the ER and run a wellness clinic. And it's such a shame because our tax money, Medicare and Medicaid, they really don't pay for wellness clinics or homeopaths or osteopaths. Well, they will pay for osteopaths, but they pay for allopathic drugs. Just stay healthy, folks.